One. Blast off. All righty. Let's see what we're going to talk about tonight. We'll wait till some folks join us. Get started in just a few minutes. Hi, Perry Smith has just joined us. Always good to have a man aboard. Perry's my husband, sitting right here. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Judy Freeler. How nice to see everyone. This is great. Love it. Hi, Shannon. Only talk to Shannon about 50 times a day, at least through emails. Shannon's my assistant and our chief, who pretty much keeps the office all in order, keeps everything humming. Yeah, hi, hearts. Hi. Nice to see everyone. Well, you know, I was just telling Shannon the other day, I just started working out. I joined the Y, and I'm cycling. And some places they call it cycling, some places call it spinning, and so I've started. And so I'm in a group that are way ahead of me. Everyone there is very far ahead of me. They've been doing it a long time. And I get on my cycle. I have to adjust my seat because I'm just barely 5'1", and everyone else is 6'2". And I'm working. Okay, now we're working up, and the teacher is saying with this great music. It's really a wonderful group, a wonderful class. And so we're cycling. Okay, now we're building up. Okay, now build up a little harder. She says, "Okay, everyone. The goal is within the next 5 minutes, this is a 40-minute class, next 5 minutes, I want you to get to 300. 300? And I'm working like a crazy person, and my high is 79. I don't even know what 300 means. I don't know what 79 means. All I know is everybody else is at 300, and I'm at 79, and I'm breaking a sweat, and I'm working my keister off, as my father used to say. I can't believe how much work this is. But in spite of it all, it's a blast. I love it. It feels really great. So I've got more energy. I'm sleeping better. I don't really have trouble sleeping. Pretty much I don't have trouble sleeping. Every once in a while it's a little bit of trouble. But wow, I put my head on the pillow and I am gone. So I can't recommend it enough. I have always resisted exercising in a gym because I thought it would be boring. But it isn't, because there's music and other people, and you're watching everyone perspire like pigs. There's always something exciting going on. So tonight, in relationship to disgusting, we're going to talk about something rather disgusting. It's secretion, morbid secretion. Morbid means not very healthy. Morbid secretion of a whale. Now, I always thought, you know, there are remedies that are made from the actual grease of the back of a horse. So I originally really thought that this remedy, Ambra grisea, A-M-B-R-A, grisea, G-R-I-S-E-A, was made from something like the oil glands of a whale. But it turns out what Ambra grisea is a gastromucal excrement that the whale spits up, and it lands on the water, and it's found in coastal regions. And so people have known what it is, and they knew that it had something to do with the whale, something unpleasant. And it has a terrible odor. I've never experienced it. I've never seen it, but from what I've read, it's a fishy, as you can imagine, a fishy rotted smell. And so, especially if you consider that it's from the gut of a whale, and then it sits on the surface of the ocean water. So I love to teach disgusting remedies, or it's the substances that are made into remedies. And the more toxic stuff, and the more toxic and the more disgusting it is, often the better the remedy. It's not across the board, but it really is more interesting. It makes it easier to remember for you folks. A rather benign original product from which the remedy can be made is not going to be as memorable for you. And the whole idea here is for you to learn and to remember. So I'm going to move my microphone a little bit here so you can see my seagull's piggy toes there. Okay, so Ambra grisea, great medicine. It's not what I'd call a polycrest, because a polycrest means it has many applications. It does have a few applications, but the application that I like to use it for is anxiety. And it's often a certain kind of anxiety. So first, let me tell you that a while ago, when was this? I wrote something on my blog regarding fear of flying. It was back in 2012, December of 2012. And I wrote about mixing 3 medicines together, and one of them was Ambra grisea. Now, let me just go back and tell you that I learned about this combination of these 3 medicines that can be added together, that you take one by added together. I mean, you could purchase them as one if you have a homeopathic pharmacy that's willing to do that for you. But another way to do it is just to simply put one in your mouth, and before you start chewing or sucking on it, put the next one in your mouth, and before that's completed as well, you put the next one in your mouth, so they all kind of mix together and they become one medicine. And I had learned about this combination or using this method some, 30 some years ago when I was studying only classical, and our classical teacher taught us about it and said that it's a great medicine for fear of flying. So here's the combination. It's Ambra grisea, A-M-B-R-A, grisea, G-R-I-S-E-A, 30, mixed with anacardium, A-N-A-C-A-R-D-I-U-M, anacardium, 30, mixed with argentum nitricum, A-R-G-E-N-T-U-M, nitricum, N-I-T is the short for it, all 30s. So there are 3 A remedies, Ambra grisea, anacardium, argentum nitricum, all in a 30th potency. Use these in combination for when someone has a tremendous fear of flying. It's downright miraculous. So if they have fear of flying the night before the flight, it starts to build up and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to be in this plane. I'm going to be encapsulated in this tuna can up in the air for X amount of hours. When they start thinking about it, that's when you administer it. If the anxiety doesn't begin until the doors have closed and they're already on the plane, start then. Could you use it prophylactically? Because I know that's going to be a question. Certainly you could, but make sure that when you give it to someone prophylactically, you're doing it because you know that they have had a good deal of this kind of a problem in the past, and you can pretty much count on it. So, we're going through this, my Materia Medica, and here's the page on Ambra grisea. Right here it shows a picture of a whale. And I'm trying to stay in the A's so we can get through this Materia Medica with a little bit of organization. And but it can also be used for hypertension. So if we see someone with a blood pressure issue and that fear of flying, that's a great combination, or especially if they're at the same moment. The blood pressure starts elevating and their heart's rating, the heart rate is beating harder than normal. It's also it's suitable, as I write in I'm just going to read from my Materia Medica, suitable for excitable, anxious children, often thin, overly tense individuals, especially women who are particularly emaciated. So it has a lot to do with emaciation. And a way to remember that is if you think of this Ambra grisea as an excretion of the gut of a whale, then you're thinking in terms of the gut and how it could be related to that. It can be used for foot cramps. If you read my Materia Medica, you can go through it a little bit further. But what I love is this dread over being around a lot of people and demonstrates a strong desire to be alone. This person is extremely shy, blushes easily. He may be restless, excited, loquacious, or may exhibit signs of despair or loathing of life with a tendency to dwell on unpleasant things. Now, it's not the first remedy I think of for depression. I'll be honest with you. We have other medicines that are closer to this than these complaints than this one, but it is a medicine to strongly be considered if others are not acting. Symptoms are made worse by the presence of strangers and may be triggered by the new morning, being in a warm room, or unexpected changes in their daily routine. They feel better when they're laying down. They feel better when they're in cool air. They're better from drinking cold drinks, cold water, etc. So you can use Ambra grisea, of course, all by itself. But what I like about this Ambra grisea with anacardium and argentum nitricum is that it really gives you exactly the punch that may be needed for fear of flying. Now, having said that, I also teach that gelsemium is great for fear of flying and for anticipatory anxiety, which is a form of fear of flying. So that's certainly a possibility as well. What I wrote in my blog, I'm looking at a little readout on it. The day of the flight, take these mixed together. And what else did I say? Continue throughout the flight if needed. So you could take it every 15 minutes in the very beginning so that you really feel as though, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better. And maybe by that time you order a drink or something, get a good vodka and grapefruit or something. And that might make the difference as well. So this is a medicine that is the more disgusting the medicine, sometimes the more valuable it can be. Sometimes we can see a correlation between what the medicine is made from and how it affects us when we take it homeopathically. In this case, the only connection that I can make generally is the fact that it has emaciation, low appetite, etc. And it's a, you know, and apparently the odor of this and even the look of this is pretty unsavory, so that it becomes something that you can make that connection with. Other than that, it can be only thought of as when you think of a big whale, big presence, largest mammal on Earth, and largest animal on Earth, I believe, and then thinking about how tiny the person feels. So it's not connected to reality. The person is not feeling who they really are. They're not experiencing who they really are. Instead, they have this shyness and a sense of inequality and inability, etc., regardless of the cause. Regardless of the cause. Now, I'm trying to teach, and that's what I'm doing in my new course on toxins, the importance of looking at what it is we're seeing, not why. So we want to always be looking at, it is what it is. It's anxiety. It is what it is. It's chemical sensitivities. It is what it is. Not it must be from this microorganism or this cause or that. Now, I don't want you to throw the baby out with the bathwater and start thinking, well, then that means etiology never matters. Well, that's wrong, because etiology can matter if we know what it is. But to speculate really muddies the waters, really muddies the waters. The more we speculate, the more likely we're going to go down a rabbit hole. And so it is the focus of this course and my blogs that I've been putting out lately and my podcast that Kate and I produce, because I want very much for folks to stop thinking in terms of the why, because many things, we will never figure out the why. Many things are unknowables. And to try to figure it out, kind of interesting, but if you're suffering or a member of your family is suffering, the last thing you want to do is waste time trying to figure out why. It's interesting. I give credit to those who are willing to take the time to do it, but not when you're sick. Just go with what is. And it is, I find, a unique way of thinking as to, why is this happening to me? It must be the parasites. It must be my amalgams. It must be the vaccinations I had 50 years ago. It must be. Forget all the must be's. It's anxiety. It's fear of flying. It's feeling less than you ought to. It's feeling terribly shy. That's what we're looking at. It is what it is. And so I want to gird you in that and remember that. Here's an exception. You have surgery. You had general anesthesia. And with that general anesthesia, just as you came out, you got a severe headache and nausea. And now you're really uncomfortable from the drugs, which were necessary. Obviously, if you have to have the surgery, you got to have the drugs so that you can be put out. Now we can blame something. Now we can say it must be the anesthetic. And then we look up and we find out that indeed general anesthesia can cause headaches. It can also cause nausea and vomiting. So now we got something we can sink our teeth into. A lot more scientific than, gee, I wonder if this is from 30 years ago, or could it possibly be that I have heavy metals coursing through my veins, etc. So if we could hang our hat specifically on something that is as obvious as can be, and there's pretty much a consensus on it, including your doctor, then you've got a dead ringer for a good diagnosis for yourself, or a good etiology with the diagnosis. So then that diagnosis would be headache and nausea as a result of medications. There we go. That's it. That's how we look at it. So hi, Fort Lauderdale, Diane. Nice to see someone from Florida. Hi from Massachusetts. Love it. I want to remind you, I'm going to go through some of these names and see if I have any questions. Sometimes Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard, so pretty there. Hi, Dara Lynn. Pardon me?
What's the remedy?
What's the remedy? What? Oh, you want that remedy too. Oh, you guys are greedy guys. But I love telling you anyway. The remedy for that would most likely be nux vomica, especially if the prominent aspect is the gut. But if the head is more prominent than the gut, and there's spaciness and headache, and the person's not coming out of it fast enough, then it's phosphorus. And either one of those, whichever one you choose, or you could use both, but not at the same moment. You could alternate them and see which one acts better. You would use them most likely in a 200. That's what I would use them in. All righty, what else do we have here? Okay, do we have any questions, Perry? Oops, spell check. I hope you got the spellings. Ambra, grisea. Hi, Katie, nice to have met you today. Met with you, I should say. Yes, made from gastromucal excrement that a whale spits up, terrible odor, rotted smell, and it sits on top of the water in the ocean. Disgusting, fabulous. Here we go. Do you have any questions there? Tammy, that protocol for flying that Joe had posted under my post, 3 remedies at once. Yep, for fear of flying. Got it. What other remedies would you consider for the symptoms you read in the last paragraph before trying Ambra, grisea? Oh, before I would try Ambra, grisea, I would consider more likely, the first one we always think of more for a woman, although it can be very useful for a man as well, is ignatia. It's a great medicine for that. In men, we more often see that kind of suffering met by Aurum metallicum. So that would be ignatia 200 twice daily. On my blog, be sure to read about that. And Aurum metallicum also on the blog. But that's usually used every other day. Hi, Christy Corder. Nice to see you. All friends. Wonderful. Clients who've become friends because I've gotten to know them through the many months and years. It's wonderful. Wondering if you are taking the hypothyroid protocol, will it also address the foggy head and difficulty with dropping weight? I'm not seeing that it is. Well, here's the thing. It's not related to our discussion tonight, but because we don't have a lot of questions, I will answer that. Hi, Palm Beach. Hi, Adelma. Nice, very nice. Yeah, not far from me at all. I'm actually not in Palm Beach right now, but we'll be there Monday. Can't wait to get back again. So when we use a protocol for something like hypothyroidism, we expect it to take months, not 2 months, although we should be watching approximately every 2 months and assess, but many months. It could be 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. But what you're doing is watching for little increments. The hair is thickening up a little bit, or it's not falling as easily. The lateral aspect of the eyebrows is not falling is not as thin. The dry skin on the shins is not as prominent. The fatigue is not as great, not happening as intensely, not lasting as long, and larger spaces between each of its episodes. So that's what we're looking for. In any time we're dealing with a chronic condition, but particularly something like thyroid. Give it a good long try, and if it still doesn't act, then we start looking for the second line. What do we use next? If the first protocols didn't act, what do we go to next? So I think we've got all of this set now. I want to remind you to go to Boron, and be sure to put my name in there, Joette, Joette, so you get your discount. And again, I get no kickbacks. I have no affiliate program with them. I'm only telling you this so that you can purchase your remedies at a discount. And be sure to go to the blog for many questions that you may have that will be answered simply by reading. I also want to mention that I respond to my blog pretty frequently, several times a day. And I will tell you that what I see frequently is that folks read an article and then ask a question that was answered in the blog. So I understand why that happens. I'm not slapping you on the back of the hand. I understand that when someone is suffering, they can't think straight. I know for myself, if I'm not feeling well, my brain turns to mush. So I thoroughly understand that. But I urge you that when you're looking at something where I give you very specific information, here's the name of the condition, here's an example of how it was used, that someone else used it. Generally speaking, I use a story so that you can get a little feel for how it can be used. Here's the remedy, here's the potency, here's the frequency, and often I tell you what to watch out for so that you know how far to go with this. So I urge you to read it 2 times, 3 times, because it's easy to miss. I've had folks tell me that when they've taken my courses, I had one woman tell me she took the course and she didn't get all the answers she wanted on that particular subject. I think it was good gut, bad gut. It was gastrointestinal questions that she had or concerns. So she went back and did it again. Now, once you own it, you own the course. So it's not like you have to pay for it again. You own that. So she went back and looked at it again and went through all the slides and listened to all of the lectures, etc. And said she learned a little bit more. She said, well, I missed something last time. And then she did it a 3rd time. She said, oh, I still learned a little bit more again. And then she did it 7 times. She said it wasn't until the 7th time that she actually caught things that were really pertinent to what she was dealing with in her family, because we're so busy learning. There's so much to learn when it comes to human health. We're so emotionally connected to what's going on that it can drain us sometimes emotionally. And sometimes we're just not ready to hear something or read something or listen to something. So I urge you to do it over and over and over. And then I just listened to our Mom with Moxie that's coming out, I think, in a week or so, from Sarah, a dear client of mine. And she said that she was reading some books that I recommend. And I recommend Dr. Dorothy Shepherd. I've talked about her before. Buy all of her books, folks. Dr. Dorothy Shepherd. She passed away some 30, 40, maybe even longer ago than that, 50 years ago. And I think her books are excellent. And Sarah has a son who has a respiratory condition. And she said she has read Dr. Dorothy Shepherd's book several times, that section regarding respiratory conditions, over and over and over. And she said that each time she learned a little bit more. And that is how we learn. Repetition is the mother of knowledge. So from one mother to all the rest of you mothers and grandmothers, and those who are not mothers, maybe are mothers to their livestock and pets and to their friends and relatives, I wish you a wonderful night and Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Have a great night. God bless. Bye now.